Hello everyone and welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to prepare tacos al pastor. Depending on what the weather is like tomorrow, we're going to either prepare them in the crock pot or we're going to prepare them on the outdoor griddle. We're going to start by preparing this recipe the night before because we're going to leave it marinating overnight. I'm going to start by hydrating the peppers. I'm using a combination of guajillo, ancho, and dried chipotle peppers. Boil for about 1 minute, remove the pan from the burner, and leave them soaking in the hot water for about 15 to 20 minutes. Next, I'm going to rinse the meat before I begin to cut it into smaller pieces. To cut the pork, we're going to need a sharp knife. This meat is already pre-cut, but since we are making tacos, we're going to cut it down into smaller pieces. For this recipe, you can use pork butt or pork shoulder, or any other cut that has a nice layer of fat, because the fat is what's going to give these tacos more flavor. As I cut them, I'm going to place them in a baking dish, or a container that's large enough to accommodate the 5 to 6 pounds of pork. Now that we have the meat all cut up, we're going to prepare the sauce. The peppers have been soaking for about 30 minutes. And as you can see, they're nice and pliable. So now we're just going to remove the seeds and the stems. When boiling the peppers, you can choose to remove the stems and the seeds prior to boiling them. Now that we have all the peppers cleaned and in the blender, add half a white onion roughly chopped, 2 tablespoons of achiote powder or paste, 4 to 5 large garlic cloves, 1 teaspoon of peppercorns, 1 tablespoon of Mexican oregano, 1 tablespoon of salt or as needed, 1 teaspoon of cumin seeds, 1/4 cup of white or apple cider vinegar, 1 cup of orange juice, and lastly 1 cup of the water that we used to soak the peppers in. And blend all these ingredients until it has a smooth, thick consistency. And here, let me show you the consistency that we're looking for. Now we're just going to pour it over the pork. There's going to be quite a bit of residue remaining inside of the blender. You don't want to add water or liquid to the blender. Use a spatula to scrape out the sauce that remains in the blender. And using gloves or clean hands, mix the pork with the sauce. Dig all the way to the bottom. Make sure everything is well coated with the sauce. Should be good. Take these off. We're going to refrigerate this overnight and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Hello everyone, good morning. We are back today and the weather outside is beautiful here in Arizona. So we're going to prepare the tacos outside on the outdoor griddle. But before we get started with the meat outside, we're going to prepare spinach con tortillas just to balance everything out. To prepare the corn tortillas, we're going to use maseca for corn tortillas. Not the one for tamales, it's the one for tortillas. I'm going to measure about 4 cups into the bowl. There's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Put this aside. I'm going to use 2 cups of fresh spinach. We are going to blend the spinach in the blender. in there. And we're gonna blend with 2 cups of water. Here I have 1 cup of cold water, which I'm gonna mix 1 cup of very hot water to it. Okay. And we're gonna use this to blend the spinach. Let's take this to the blender and blend. Okay, so now we blended the spinach with the water, but before we add it to the corn flour, I'm gonna add about 1 teaspoon of salt. Okay. And then we're gonna add half of the spinach mixture. Okay, I'm gonna mix with the spatula first. And then we're gonna add the rest. Now make sure to keep plenty of hot water on hand because we are gonna need more than 2 cups of water for the 4 cups of masa. This absorbs it really quickly, so we're probably gonna need about 4 cups of water. Let me measure 2 more cups and add it to the blender so we can get the rest of the residue that's inside of the blender. I'm gonna add 1 cup of cold water so it's not so hot. I like to start out with a spatula, just in case it's a little bit too hot, and then I'm gonna switch over to mixing by hand. Okay, so the masa is pretty much done.
Make sure to cover the masa with plastic or a clean kitchen towel to keep it from drying up. You will know if the masa is too dry if your tortillas begin to crack. If this happens, you can add more water to the masa and mix again until it becomes hydrated, and continue to prepare your tortillas until you run out of the masa. For the salsa, we're going to roast the tomatillos and the peppers on the griddle. I'm using a combination of chiles de árbol, chile guajillo, serrano peppers, garlic, onion, and tomatillos. Be very careful with the chiles de árbol and remove them first so they don't burn. Next, remove the chile guajillo and then the garlic. Remove the chiles, onion, and tomatillos once they become blistered and charred on all sides. Before we begin to cook the meat, my husband is going to clean up the griddle. First, he scrapes off the residue, then he cleans it with a little bit of water, and then he finishes with a generous amount of manteca. This is not only going to help to clean the griddle, but it's also going to prevent the meat from sticking to the griddle. The meat marinated for a little bit over 12 hours. You can leave it marinating for longer and prepare it 2 to 3 days ahead of time. Add it to the griddle and cook until the meat is well done. I did leave the pieces a little big, so it's going to take a little while to cook. But once it's done, you can chop it into smaller pieces if you'd like. I'm going to grill 1 full pineapple so we can chop it up into small pieces to use as a topping. I'm also going to use one of the slices for the salsa. Flip the pineapple once and remove them once they become charred and crispy on both sides. And while my husband continues to cook the meat, we're going to take all these ingredients inside and begin to prepare the toppings and the salsa. For toppings, we're going to use the pineapple, onion, and cilantro. To prepare the salsa, we're going to start by blending the guajillos, the chile de árbol, onion, garlic, and the serrano peppers, along with a splash of vinegar, 1 slice of pineapple, salt, and half a cup of water. Blend these ingredients until they're well broken down. Then add the tomatillos. And blend again until they're well broken down or until it reaches the consistency that you prefer. Then transfer it to your favorite salsa dish. Let's head back outside to heat up some of the tortillas on the griddle. And now to prepare the tacos. My mouth is watering already because these are one of my favorite tacos and I can't wait to try them. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the video and the recipe. And if you're here for the first time, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future recipes. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next video.